So in this episode, we're going to take a little divergent from the normal stuff and talk about the enlightening, heavy subject of mental health, because, tis the season. So we're going to talk about a little bit of all the things about mental health, is for my personal experience. And, seasonal depression, people who have that, who struggle with that, regular mental health, the daily struggles, the collapse of late stage capitalism as we're living that, that always makes people feel really great. Probably trigger warnings on this. We'll talk about suicide and difficult situations of that and how mental health affects everyone around you and yourself. So we can talk a little bit about mental health, my struggles personally. Obviously I'm not a therapist or licensed in that way. So as usual, with the disclaimer is that this is not my scope. It's just my personal experience with these things. And, kind of the routes that I've taken that maybe some person listening to this will be like, cool, yeah, I maybe need to look into that or something like that. I am a high advocate of having therapy, having mental health advocacy, going to a psychologist, a psychiatrist who can prescribe medication if that's what you need, working in criminal work and seeing how that plays into it, and kind of the criminal system with mental health. Obviously, a lot of people who are obviously serial killers or something crazy like that are obviously not mentally sane. But then there's just sometimes people who are just off and needed help or weren't doing well and got themselves into bad situations that maybe could have avoided with a little bit of therapy or medication or something like that, or, advocacy during their childhood that could have really saved a lot of heartache and issues for other people involved too, because mental health is not just with you, it bleeds over into your life, your family life, your friends, society, and what have you. So kind of an important issue. I have had major, mental health struggles, depression, anxiety in some sense. I have ADHD, so that's obviously a mental health thing. I don't know if it's an issue per se, but it is a way that my brain works is a little bit different that sometimes makes life very difficult. And with that will come that anxiety and that depression because my brain is working differently than most people in society. So if any of you have that ADHD, you know what those struggles can be. We always talk about, your spoons. How many spoons do you have available for the day? People who have disabilities or maybe have some other issues going on that maybe society doesn't recognize or give some kind of deference for or accommodation for that we still have to deal with. Then you have to balance that of being a functional society of our quote unquote, or being a functional member of our quote unquote society, when you're not able to maybe fall into those parameters, and maybe it's a little bit difficult and maybe you need accommodations, and working with that and how that looks and how we need to be a little bit more open about that and remove that stigma of talking about mental health, because it's extremely important to talk to people, especially with our men, our military guys, medical professionals, legal professionals, anybody who has difficult high stress jobs, working with that and trying to reduce that suicide rate and that mental health rate, because this is not really talked about. I really appreciate that Prince Harry in his book really talked about struggles with mental health and that he's a big advocate for that because, obviously that guy has all the resources in the world and still has struggles and daily struggles. I have friends who are on paper doing amazing. They have great careers, they have great jobs, they have money, they have the spouse, they have the kids, they have the family, they have the whole life, and they're miserable and they hate themselves and they hate their lives and they have a daily struggle sometimes of not killing themselves. And sometimes we have to struggle with that and we have to talk about that. And it doesn't necessarily mean that we need to be committed or whatever. It's just kind of a daily topic that goes on in our brains that we have to work through. And maybe we need that support and guidance that should be more available in our world. And I think a lot of things could be alleviated in our day-to-day world and be more cost effective for society if we do provide more mental health access and healthcare in that regard for people, because your brain is also part of your body. And so, yeah, I might have a broken arm and you can see that and you can go, oh shit, you have a broken arm, that sucks. And you can get the help and you go to orthopedics and maybe you need surgery or physical therapy. But there's not a lot of that for where you're like, I just don't feel good, or I don't feel well and my brain is off and I feel maybe sad and I don't know why I can't stop crying and I don't know why I don't have any motivation or when I'm tired all the time. We don't really talk about that because we can't see it. It's not visible like a broken arm with a cast and you go, oh shit, maybe I should help you with your groceries. If you have mental struggles, we can't outwardly see that, and a lot of people don't understand it. And if you haven't experienced it or went through it, then you don't have that empathy or that compassion to know somebody, still might need help with their groceries. So I think it's a big topic that not a lot of people talk about. So that's why I'm talking about it today. Again, like I said, I'm not a licensed therapist or anything like that. I'm not giving any kind of therapeutic advice or anything like that. It's just like my own personal experiences with it and my insights to it that maybe you all have as well. And I would like to hear about that too. And I think it's a good open discussion that we should all have, especially in the entrepreneurial land. These entrepreneurial streets are rough. They're sad and depressing. And when you don't have people understanding or supporting you, it gets difficult to be your own cheerleader. And sometimes you question your reality and your life and what you're doing and your own mental health and that. And so I think it's a good discussion to have. So I'd like to hear your insight with it as well. So mental health in entrepreneurial land, if you will, it's difficult. Like you are treading water a lot of the times. You're working uphill. And because it's a little bit more, I think, acceptable these days, like with like Gary Vee and all these like really cool people who are like, fuck yeah, you want to make it happen, let's do it. I really love that. But it's also still not kind of a normal thing. The hustle culture and all these things and the side hustles and that. And a lot of those come from necessity, which we shouldn't, it's a whole different conversation of necessity. Not every hobby should be turned into a goddamn business. Just go enjoy your paintings, for God's sakes, But yeah, being an entrepreneur is difficult. Like, you're dealing with people who don't understand, or it's scary to them. And so they're projecting their fears and insecurities onto you. And it's a rough road, especially like within relationships. So you're working and you're building a business and you're always on your phone and they're like, who are you talking to? What are you doing? And you're like, I'm working. I'm trying to build a business. Yeah, I'm here on a Sunday afternoon doing this. I'm on a Monday. I'm at 10 o'clock at night because this is how I'm building this business. And of course we need to have balance and we have to have boundaries and we need to train our clients, if you will, on that. It is not acceptable to call me at 10 p.m. But also when you're building a business, you're kind of going to be available. Well, let's be real. And that can be difficult and you're always on and you're never off because you can't miss that opportunity. And that does take a toll sometimes. Like I travel quite extensively. I absolutely travel a lot. Have I had a vacation? Not in years, not in probably a decade. Have I had an actual vacation where I have turned all my shit off and just was in the moment and relaxing and having a time and not worrying about what's happening at home or in my business. I work when I'm traveling, when I'm on quote unquote vacation. And I understand that's an American thing that everyone's constantly working, even if you have a normal, 9 to 5 kind of job, that's a joke that you're still available working on your vacation when we should all be shut off. I think it's a little bit more prevalent and difficult when you are an entrepreneur and you have your own business because you're building your business for you, not somebody else. So I'm a big proponent that if you are working for somebody else 9 to 5, then you will absolutely just turn your phone off. You have to set that boundary. When you're an entrepreneur, you're not able to really do that. And so it does take a toll. I'm on vacation with people and they're bitching at me because I'm on my phone. And I'm like, also the flip side of that is, yeah, it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I literally would be in an office right now. I wouldn't be here anyways. So I'm sorry, I got to go take a call for 15 minutes. Fuck off with that, So it's a little tricky. It's a little tricky too, of just having that unwavering faith that things are going to happen for you, that you're going to make it happen, that you're working really diligently for yourself. But, you do get tired, you get burnt out, you get exhausted, your mental health does struggle. Oftentimes too, we don't have a nice balance of taking care of ourselves. We're like eating, what am I eating right now? I don't even know, some biscuits. It's not healthy. It's not good. I'm drinking sparkling wine and eating biscuits, for fuck's sakes. That's probably not the most ideal, conducive situation here, but it's just what we have to do sometimes, It's what has to happen. And again, I'm a big proponent of having that system and that support system around you, whether that's family, whether that's a partner, whether that's, your friends, whether it's just professionals that you've hired, having therapy. And I like that there is a lot of accessibility now, more so than there used to be, because it is limited. We have a lot of apps and things out there, or programs that you can get on and get mental health. Is it cost effective? No. God, it's expensive as shit. And most medical insurance companies don't cover mental health, which is insane to me. It's insane to me because that's your driving force of your everyday life. That is your whole core of health. And it's not going to be covered by the insurance companies. That's a whole other topic that we won't get into. I will soapbox the shit out of that one. But yeah, having that accessibility is a little bit more available now through the internet and through, these programs and these apps, which is great. Do I think it's there 100%? No. Should it be available for everybody? Absolutely. And I don't care how good you think you're doing. I don't care how happy you are, quote unquote. I don't care how great your relationship is. All of that. You can be all of those things and still be super content and still need therapy. You can have the greatest childhood ever. You can have amazing parents. You still need therapy. Everybody needs it. It's just everybody needs it. Whether you're doing well, whether you're doing bad. I think a lot of people think, oh, well, I'm not doing well, I need to have a therapist. No, you should have a therapist for good times. Like, how do I deal with their good times? How do I deal with happy times? What does that mean? Do I feel good about that? There's all sorts of stuff to it, so mental health is a big deal. Everybody should have access to it, and everybody should be utilizing it as much as possible, because in this day and age, we have to deal with a lot of shit. And these younger generations, the millennials, the Gen Zers, I mean, how many life-altering events have everybody gone through at this point in their lives? Like, these are like one-in-a-lifetime events that are happening every 6 months. Like, holy fuck, we all need some help at this point. We need a collective countrywide therapy session. We'll see how this election goes too. I have a lot of people I talk to who are, depending on the election, people are super depressed and having to talk with people on both sides. You know what I mean? It's everybody has to have this discussion. So it's a big deal. So if you're feeling that you need help or you feeling stuck, there are resources out there for you. And please, even reach out to your friends and just say, I don't feel good, or even people on the internet. Fuck it. People on the internet will help you and support you. That's the cool thing about social media, frankly. There's a lot of negative to it, but there's also some really cool things too. So I think a big thing in my life and a lot of people's lives, especially women's lives who are entrepreneurs, is that imposter syndrome. It is a huge deal, and it's kind of a buzzword now, and obviously it's been around forever. It's a thing, but we all now have a name for it, that imposter syndrome. Like, who am I to be doing this? Well, who are you not to be doing this? That's the better question. But we all have that feeling. And I'm sure people like Gary Vee and all these people still have that too. They get that feeling of just like, well, shit, who the fuck am I to do this? Like, I mean, he's a great example of that. He was a wine guy. Like, he was a random wine guy who was like, oh, the social media thing's kind of cool. I'm working at my dad's wine shop. Let me, I got this idea. Let me try that. How many people gave him shit for it? For years. Oh, you're just a wine guy. Stay in your lane. What are you doing? Oh, you're doing a media company now. Who the fuck are you? You know what I mean? Like, people are naysayers all day long, and that takes a toll on you. And you just have to kind of have that unwavering faith that the things are going to work out and get together. But it is a struggle, and it's definitely a big struggle for women too in this kind of space, and with their jobs too. Say you have a normal 9-to-5, regardless of being an entrepreneur, like that imposter syndrome, or that I'm not good enough, that I don't have enough credentials. A lot of women will be like, oh, if I just get this one certificate, if I just have this education piece, if I just have this, then I'll feel like I'm accomplished enough to do it. And a really interesting statistic is that men will apply for a job if they have 60 to 70% of what the job is asking for. Not the whole thing. Like, they're like, oh yeah, I could figure that out, or I've got that, I got a majority of this, or I got a good percentage of what this job is asking for. I'll still apply for that job. Women typically do not. They have to make sure that they're 100% fit for that job before they even apply. Like, it's a weird mental thing there, and I don't know where that comes from, but it's statistically shown that women will not apply for jobs unless they feel like they have the full requirements and credentials to do that job, whereas men were like, nah, I got 50% of that, I'm good, I'll apply for that. And traditionally usually get the job because of that, and then they wing it and figure it out on the way out, or learn from that way, where I hope women are getting a little bit more about that. Plus also in entrepreneurship, as a woman, you have that unpaid labor aspect on top of it. So not only are you hustling and working and building your job and doing all these things and still fighting uphill, because of course, we're still not paid what men are paid. We're still not respected or looked at. And that was a good example with the Golden Globes, with the jackass comedian making the comment about Oppenheimer versus the Barbie movie. It's like, what the fuck, what year are we in? Oh my God. And that just reinforces how society thinks about that. And so it's an uphill battle, even though that movie grossed more than any movie that company had in decades. Like, but it's still talked down to, and the misogyny and it's just insane. I don't want to talk about the patriarchy, because then we get into the whole different other realm, and my conservative friends are going to go, oh my God, Lindsay, stop talking about that. You're so woke. We're not going to go there. But, there is a fine line. And of course, we all want equality, but, does it help others? Probably not. Should it help all of us? It should. And that takes a toll on people. You have that unpaid labor on top of it. So not only are you trying to hustle, you're building this job, and then you're expected to come home and raise the children and go to school and do the school drop-offs and do the laundry and the dishes and the cooking and all these things that it's a whole other full-time job that you're not getting paid for. And that's insane. So that takes a mental toll. People are just tired, frankly. People are just tired. And that takes a toll. And that's where mental health is important, to have an outlet, whether it's friends, whether it's professional, whether it's, community resources, other people who are doing the same thing you are, having those groups to help you get through some of those difficulties, or even talking with older people who have done it. What would you tell your younger self? Well, there's people out there who have done it, and they can give you that kind of guidance and that mentorship. So I think that's really important to look into. So in my own personal experience, I've been in relationships with partners who have not been so supportive or understanding in this entrepreneurial journey, and would bitch about, well, wow, you're always on your phone and you're always working and you're married to your business and I'm just your mistress or whatever, and just shitty comments. And I think, the meme that always comes up is that you either have a supportive partner or no partner at all, because there's no in between. And it is difficult. Like, they don't, sometimes, my partners didn't understand why I'm working and we're in a foreign country or something, and I would want to just stop and be like, how the fuck do you think we got here? Who do you think paid for this? My little job, or my little side job, or my, you hear that a lot as a woman, your little job, your little business. You're just like, fuck off. So that's been an experience in my life, that difficulty of having somebody who doesn't understand, or being like, cool, I've sat at my computer for 11 hours and I haven't had time to go eat because A, my ADHD kicks in, and also I'm finally in a focus flow and I need to stay there. So having that support is important. And it's difficult because a lot of partners or a lot of men don't understand what you're doing as a woman, and either feel threatened about it or feel insecure about it. Not all of them, of course. Of course there's beautiful, wonderful, supportive partners, out there who understand what you're doing and what you're building and are amazing, and that's where you do really well. But in my experience, it's been difficult for that as a woman trying to build a business, and also balancing that life of being a partner and the woman in the relationship and that female, and not having that supportive partner and feeling like I have to do literally fucking everything. Please just help me. Be nice to me. Let's just start there. Just be nice to me, let alone helping me. Because obviously I can take care of most things on my own, but it's nice to have a partner that's going to help you. And, like the bare minimum, can you just be nice to me? Oh, you can't even do that? Cool. Well, why am I still here? What are you bringing to this table? Not the other way around, It's not me and my table. It's what are you coming to my table and sitting at and doing? And a lot of men don't like that. They don't like strong, independent women. They don't want that. They think they do. They're like, cool, that sounds amazing. And then they get it and they're like, oh, what the fuck is this? Ah, this chick makes her own money. This chick does her own thing. She has her own house. She has her own business. Like, she's hustling. She's going. She's networking. And, I've had partners who didn't understand the networking aspect. You do have to get out there. You do have to talk to people. You have to put yourself out there. You have to go on dinners and, meet people for drinks, or go to networking events or dinners and socialize and dinner parties, what have you. And they don't understand that. And they're like, oh, you're going out, or you're going on a date with somebody. And you're like, what is wrong with you? No, I'm working on my business. And also, you're a representative of me. Please don't be a shitbag to other people too, because these are like business contacts that may not right now pan out, but maybe 4 years from now, maybe 5 years from now. I don't know. I'm still going to put my best face forward. Obviously I'm going to be authentic and I'm going to be me, but also your partner is a representative of you, and hopefully they're helping you hustle the shit out of you because they're your partner and they love you and they want to do that for you. And if they don't, then what the fuck are you doing? Go find somebody who will do it. And even if you don't find somebody and it's a lonely road, then, at least you know that you're doing it for you, and you're not dealing with the excess goddamn baggage that you're dragging around with you of somebody keep putting you down. Because not only is it difficult to be an entrepreneur and to do this job and to hustle and to build and have that unwavering faith that this is going to happen for you, you're going to make it happen, things are going to come in, that revenue is going to come in, that business is going to take off, and it might be a year or two later. That's how hard it is. You've got to have that faith for that amount of time. But then on top of it, having a partner who's putting you down and who's telling you, no, you don't know what you're doing. Go get a regular job. Why don't you go work with the rest of us? Or this income is all fluctuating. And, it's like, just don't even do it. Just don't even do it. Just you're worth so much more than that. Just leave. Whether it's whoever it is in your life not doing that for you, just don't. Just do it on your own. And it sucks and it's lonely and it's lame. I'm not gonna lie, it's lame. But it's so much better than somebody putting you down and you having to not only carry the weight of building your business and all of that, and then the weight of judgment and bullshittery from this other person who's supposed to be your partner, who's supposed to be your hype man, your hype woman. They're supposed to be that person who's helping you and building you up and making it easy for you because it's hard enough as it is with what you're doing. What they're gonna make it harder for you? What the fuck is wrong with you? Get the fuck out of here. Ain't no one got time for this bullshit. So, know if you're in that situation, you absolutely can leave. You can absolutely do it on your own. Yes, it's going to be hard. Yes, it sucks, but you have friends, you have family, you have support systems, you have other people who will step in that role for you. Sure, they're not laying in bed with you and waking up, but then, yeah, what is that? You're going to wake up and someone's going to talk shit to you? Like, yeah, please no. I'm gonna get 18 more cats. We're going to call it a day. It's totally fine. Enya's got it dialed. Let's be real. Enya has it fully dialed. She lives with her millions and millions and millions of dollars in a castle in Ireland with like 18 cats. And then apparently has like righteous dinner parties and rad things with all her friends. I'm like, Enya's fucking got something going on there, man. Yeah. So it's a thing. It's a thing. So for this episode, we're still drinking that amazing sparkling wine because A, it's a big bottle, although we're motoring through it. 2, obviously we're batching this and you guys know how content works and that's fine. And I was not going to let this beautiful bottle go to waste. So we're still cruising through it for the day. It is a Domaine Conneros Blanc de Blanc. It is Le Rêve, Tattinger 2015. Beautiful, beautiful sparkling out of Napa area. Yeah, if you would like to sponsor me, I will rep the shit out of this because this is amazing. Did not realize today when I pulled it out, because I was half asleep this morning, that it was a $130 bottle basically, but I'm very happy that I did pull it out because it's made this Sunday afternoon super enjoyable. So let me know if you'd like to sponsor me because I will happily take your sponsorship. I think a lot of people do struggle with mental health and maybe you don't understand what it is or that depression or that seasonal depression. When you're in the wintertime, we don't have enough light, we don't have the vitamin D, we don't, it's just kind of I'm the opposite. I get seasonal depression in the summer. I don't like the heat. I don't like the sun and it burns us. I'm technically a vampire. This is why I look so good. Just kidding. But it's important, I do get, we all get, I think to some degree, that seasonal depression. And just life malaise. To be real, the society and the world we're living in right now is a hot dumpster fire shit show. So that alone, you turn on the news, of course you're going to feel not healthy and not good. And for me, what I like to do is I like to, move your body. That's important, making sure that you're doing things, organized sports, even though we're if you're my age, you're old as fuck. But there's still really cool leagues that you can go play, whatever sport that you really loved and enjoyed as a kid. There's an adult league out there because the rest of us want to go do fun shit too. I love my soccer league. What an amazing community. And to be frank, that soccer league has probably saved my life on a couple times, where I'm like, I really, really don't feel good. There's been circumstances in my life. If something happened, maybe it was a breakup, maybe it was a difficulty, maybe a family member passed away and I was not feeling well, but I knew I had to go to a game and I knew my team was relying on me. And then I get there and I'm like, yeah, I kind of still want to kill myself. I don't feel well. But then, you hang out and you run around and then maybe you have a beer with your teammates and stuff. And then you start talking and chit chatting and you're like, yeah, all right, I feel okay. That's all right. Or whatever you need to feel that you need to live for, pick that. Whether it's, you can't leave your plants even. For me, a lot of times was I could not even think about my cat going to a shelter or somebody else taking my cat. Like that, I couldn't do it. I couldn't even think about that. So whatever you pick, that's your thing that you feel like you need to live for that next day, cool, man, high five. And that could change. Like I said, so, moving your body, getting outside, whether it's cold, whether it's hot, finding an activity. If you have seasonal depression, like my friend, he, called me and he said, hey, when was the last time we went snowboarding? And I said, legitimately, probably 20 years ago. And he's like, I want to learn again. And I said, oh, okay, great. I love that, which is a perfect season for him to learn because there's no goddamn snow up there. So it's not like I'm doing anything, but it's perfect for him because all the little bunny slopes are covered for him. And, like kind of the second or third time we went up, he said, honestly, this is part of my mental health. It's part of my therapy with my therapist. And I said, oh, tell me about that. And he said, well, I have severe seasonal depression, severe. And he said, I remember you never had it in the wintertime because you love to do outdoor things in the wintertime. That was your thing, that you were always happy in the winter and you loved the snow and you liked it when it was cold and you could go snowboarding, you could be in the mountains. And he's like, I wanted to learn what that was about because I really struggle this time of year. And I thought that was, how cool is that? And how cool for me to be a part of that. I was super honored to even hear that. It was amazing for me. And so you just got to find what's good for you. And like I said, maybe it's something you take up or something you've never done before, like snowshoeing. Like, it's not really my thing. I'm a snowboarder. Do I want to cross country ski? No. Am I going to try it? Absolutely. Let's give it a whirl, and it can be difficult and it can be fun and it can be challenging and embarrassing, but it's an experience. It's something you're doing and at least you're trying. Whether you go and you walk outside for 5 minutes, just do 5 minutes. More than likely you'll do more than that, but at least you get started. That's kind of the same thing with entrepreneurship. Of like, man, I struggle days. Like, I don't want to work 24/7. I don't want to be doing this for the next 30 years like I've been doing for the last 10. It's hard. It is hard to motivate yourself day in and day out and go, okay, I'm the only source of my income, which is an amazing thing. It's very powerful to be able to have that, but it's also like, holy shit, that's all on me, Or if you're in a relationship and a partnership where maybe that other person's not carrying their weight as much, and it's all on you. I know a lot of men feel this, with that breadwinning kind of attitude and society's expectations that it is all on you. And how do people not get resentful? I don't fucking know. That's probably why a lot of us drink a lot. Alcohol, solving the world's problems. Just kidding. I'm not an alcoholic. I do enjoy wine, however. But there are reasons why people drink a lot and who have that alcoholism or drug addictions and stuff, because people want to escape because life is hard. So for me, I like to get outside. I like to go do activities. I like to be physical, and that helps your body. It helps your brain to get outside, to look at something different, to be in the world. Join those organizations if you can, whether it's knitting, it may not be a physical activity. Maybe it's knitting. Maybe you don't have the physical ability to go do things. That's totally fine too. There are other things. Maybe you like a crossword group or something, or Sudoku. Do people still do that? That's a mathy thing. I can't do that. Or the Wordle, or chess or something like that, like anything that you can get your brain into, that there'll be a group who likes to do that with you, and there'll be an organization that you can find, because we're social creatures and we want to be social. And whether that's with a relationship, I think most of us want to be in a relationship, but if we don't have that, there are also other things that we can go do. Like, I like to play nerd games. I like to have nerd groups. We play some board games or tabletop games. We have people online. You can talk to total people online, with your PS5s and your Switches and all that. Like, there's a whole community on there, and a really beautiful community, frankly, and a lot of those things. Yeah, they've got some 14-year-old kid talking shit to you, but, other than that, there's usually some cool people on there who are supportive, because we're all in the same boat, where it's all, the sinking ship we're all on, and making it possible for us to handle that. And so that's kind of the things that I do, getting out, reading books, having a book club. It may not have to be a physical activity. I like physical activities because I like to go do that stuff. Hiking, being in nature. I think the Japanese have a thing called nature bathing. You go out into wherever you're at. And I know some of us live in dense urban populations, but there's usually a park, there's some grass. Take your shoes off, put your feet into the grass, feel the earth. That'll help you. Like I said, even if it's just 5 minutes, sometimes that's just all you need, is to get that different perspective, instead of being inside your shell in your house. And yeah, it sucks and you want to be that way and you want to keep going in, but you just got to tell yourself, it's just 5 minutes. I can do anything for 5 minutes. And then usually you'll feel better, and then you'll do it for 10 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever it is. So those are kind of the things that I like to do. I like to go out with my friends. Yes, I like to drink. It's not to excess. Of course, everybody thinks I'm an alcoholic. I'm totally not. I do enjoy wine. Like I said, I was telling somebody, I was like, even if the wine did not have alcohol in it, I would still drink it, because it's a whole different thing for me. But yeah, that social aspect, even like that's why bars are popular. People go to bars because, you can have that social lubrication, but there's other people there to talk to. There's always somebody to talk to. So don't think that you're completely alone. And I know when you're in the throes of depression that you think nobody understands you, nobody understands what you're going through, but, somebody has, and somebody's willing to talk to you. And that's where the internet and social media is really cool too. So there's all sorts of options for you. Those are some of the things that I like to do. Other things I like to do, I like to read a lot, or just doing like weird crafty things, or maybe you got a Cricut machine. I don't know. I like to make weird jewelry and sell that on Etsy, because everything's a side hustle. Just kidding. Sometimes I just like to make weird stuff, or go out and, do that kind of stuff. So it's whatever's best for your mental health, and hopefully try not to delve into too much alcohol. Don't delve into drugs, of course. That's obviously not going to help you. And then talking to somebody, I have a therapist, I talk to the therapist, that's great. When times are good, times are bad, it's great. Sometimes I need some medication for my ADHD to help me focus a little bit more. But if you need those things, those are available too. So it just depends on what level you need and what you feel comfortable with. So yeah, so you guys, reach out to me if you want. I'm totally, I've been through some shit. I've had a life. I've had several lives, I feel like. And, you're not alone. Somebody's always there to talk to. And if you don't feel like you have anybody and you want to talk to me, I'm totally available. Also, there's tons of resources out there. Like I said, like they're getting more prevalent. Thankfully, you can reach out to friends, family. If you don't feel comfortable for that, there's professionals that you can reach out to. There's a lot of agencies that take like sliding scale or sliding fee scales. So if you don't have the money, I know a lot of us don't have resources for the luxury of mental health, which is a ridiculous thing to even say. That it should be, of course, available for everybody, but there are agencies that take, a sliding fee schedule. There's now online providers. There's like Better Health and a couple of those other apps that are really cool that are either, low cost, no cost, or again, sliding scale. So there's the availability is out there. Or like I said, joining clubs and stuff, but there's going to be somebody who's there who probably has been through what you've been through or can empathize with you or talk with you. And everyone who's out and about doing stuff all wants to have that same kind of level of connection, and people are always wanting to help. So if you guys have mental health struggles, you want to talk to somebody, I'm available. Obviously, I'm not professional or anything like that, but I, have been through some shit. I can definitely talk to you. If you don't have any, feel like you have any resources, I'm absolutely happy to help with you. Otherwise, there's, state agencies, there's apps that are available, there's therapists available in your area that work on a sliding schedule or sliding fee scale. If you don't have the resources, the availability, there are state programs that are out there. There's the apps that have, sometimes just information out there that'll help you. There's YouTube videos, like there's resources for us to feel better. So don't think that you're alone. I know when you're in the throes of depression, you feel like you're the only one and you're the only person who has dealt with this, that you don't think anybody else has had this feeling. It's just you, and you get into your little, depression bubble, and that's totally normal. But there are people out there, whether you join organizations, people want to be social. I'm sure there's people in those organizations that you are into who have been through experiences, especially older people, mentorship. But there are apps available out there to help you. The Better Health and agencies, state agencies out there that are available for that. And I know they just launched the 988 phone for like suicide prevention. That's a big one. Instead of having to go to maybe the ER or anything like that, that there is a dedicated resource called 988 that you just dial, and we'll have somebody who's a professional who will talk to you and help you out with that. So there's definitely resources. I know the veterans agencies have a lot of that for our vets out there too, who are definitely struggling. And so those are all out there. So if you have questions about that, let me know. Everything's in the show notes, and I'm happy to help. So this was kind of a weird, heavy episode, but it's definitely something that needs to be discussed as well. And so, of course, on this heavy episode of depression, all the other things, when you think of death, think of me. Thank you for listening to this podcast. If you found value, please like, subscribe, and share. And be sure to follow me on all the socials at Sips and Tips with Lindsay. And of course, you can always go to my website, sipsandtipswithlindsay.com, to find more information about estate planning, business, snowboard, travel, and of course, wine.